Housing Opportunities in Northern Delaware is a nonprofit organization that promotes fair housing. And joining us now is the organization's Executive Director, Gladys Spikes. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, let's talk about fair housing for the first-time homeowner, one that's saved up and is really considering on buying a house. What is the fair housing law about?
Well, the fair housing law is to help those families to be able to, in their home search, that they can go anywhere and shop anywhere to select the houses that they would like to purchase. The Housing Opportunities initially was created as a fair housing advocacy agency to help those families, and we recognized in 1989 that they didn't understand that they have the right to live wherever they so may choose, whether they were trying to rent a house, trying to buy a house, or whether they were trying to get a mortgage to buy the house, or to get even homeowners insurance. And so as a result, we found that we didn't get that many discriminatory complaints because people didn't really know how to go about buying a house. And that's when we became a certified comprehensive housing counseling agency, and that was in 1989. And since that time, we've seen more than 5,000 families,
Wow.
maybe 6,000 families. And we're a very small staff. You're looking at the housing counselor. And so that meant that I required that they go through our housing counseling certificate program, which is educational first, the first 4 hours. They get to hear from a team of individuals.
And what is it that they actually hear in these education classes?
They hear from their team that they're going to form, which is the home inspector, the real estate attorney, and the real estate agent, which is really key because they're the coordinator, and then also the mortgage lending officer. And we also bring in an insurance agent because a lot of times they don't know that insurance coverage is most important, whether it be their auto, their home,
their appliances,
their rental, and life is most important too as well. So we have like a 4-hour session, and they come in, they speak, and of course I go first because I'm the housing counselor, and it's most important as they're going through the process that they understand that they need to be educated so they can be educated consumers. And at that time, I also teach them about fair housing. So if they ever feel that they've been discriminated in any way, like they have a gut feeling that they weren't really shown the right house, or they were shown the apartment in the back of an apartment building, or they had children and the landlord says you can't have any children, your children or your family can't live on the second floor of an apartment because of safety reasons. All those things are illegal under the fair housing law.
Okay, and what is the housing counseling certificate about?
Okay, the housing counseling certificate. I always smile a lot when we talk about first-time home buyers because they are a wonderful group, because I teach them that it's most important to begin your self-wealth by buying your first home.
That's right.
So
I bought my first home in my mid-20s, and it was like the most thing I felt so accomplished about. Well, but there's not a certain age to buy a house, is there?
No. The great thing about the fair housing law here in the state of Delaware is that age is one of the protected classes. So that means that you could be 85, and I was a loan officer at one time, and I actually had a client or customer that was 85, and she wanted to downsize and buy a condo. And so she could not be discriminated against, even though we know that, well, 30 years she could possibly live that long beyond 80, but that's rather rare. And she was able to purchase it. So yeah, age is a great thing. And I also had a 19-year-old that had all the qualifications, and they were able to buy a home. He had a really nice set of parents, and the parents gave him the down payment, but he had all the other.
Which is also important. But back to your certificate, the housing counseling certificate.
The housing counseling certificate is most important because you have an opportunity to be able to participate in the down payment settlement assistance programs that are available here in the state. And Delaware is really great in that we have Newcastle County, we have the city of Wilmington, we have Delaware State Housing Authority, and they are the government entities, but they have those great programs where you can get up to 5 and $8,000 in order to close.
Okay.
We also have part of the housing counseling certificate is that you have education, and then you have the one-on-one. And the one-on-one, I've seen all of those 6,000 families, and our rate of them keeping their homes is like we only have a 3% default.
Okay.
So it's very low.
That's good though. It's low.
It's
very low.
excellent. Yeah. So even the banks, all the banks are requiring that you have this housing counseling certificate.
Okay.
There's many there are ways that you can also participate in the program by either going online. You can go to eHomeAmerica /HOND
Okay.
online to take the course, the educational part. But then you'll come back to me for the 2-hour one-on-one
Okay.
customized. Or you can come to a workshop like I was telling you before about the 4-hour workshop.
And what's the pre and post purchase process look like?
Well, the pre-purchase process is that you would go through the educational part, and then once you receive your housing counseling certificate, you're to contact your housing counselor and make sure that they have all the documentation, and they can help you to review the sales contracts and look at your loan closure, your estimated loan closure statements,
Okay.
and to make sure that if they have any questions. And then at the very end, they will go to closing, and the real estate, they've already had the education about that, and the housing counselor will tell them if you have down payment sale assistance, it's usually a loan, so that means that you would have 2 liens or 2 closings at the end. And we also talk about post-purchase, which is how to maintain your home, how to get along with your neighbors, the importance of maintenance, safety measures, just like in the previous segment, how to be safe with your family.
Very important.
So.
And when one buys a home, the biggest stressor could be the finances, making sure that A, you keep a job, and B, that you're paying that mortgage monthly and on time. So is there any type of education that HOND provides when it comes to mortgage foreclosure prevention?
Yes, and we also have, that's a segment also in our pre-purchase too. We go over the budget and finances. As for the mortgage foreclosure prevention, we have a great program. It's free, and I just want to put a shout out and say that anyone that might call a family that's trying to save their home and they're in foreclosure, and they start to speak to them or they send them letters, more than likely they're going to ask them for money to help them to save their homes, and they are more than likely not able to be, they're fraudulent, or they're not really going to help them. They're not going to help them as much as we would be able to provide for them. We have a really good working relationship with our housing, with our service representatives.
And we have a few minutes, Gladys. Let's talk about the fundraiser that's coming up for your organization.
Okay, yeah. Because we are a nonprofit, as was stated before, we are always trying to leverage our dollars. We're always trying to make sure that we have enough funds
to sustain the organization.
Yeah, sustain the programs that we have to provide. So we're celebrating our 10th annual our 10th annual Jazz in the House and Silent Auction.
Okay, congratulations, 10 years.
Thank you. And we're trying to make this extra special this year. We have live jazz performance by To The Max jazz group, and we're also going to have a dance performance by the group called Pieces of a Dream, and it's usually a great theme around jazz. And we have a silent auction that we also have, and we're going to have light refreshments, and we're going to have a special feature this time, and we're going to have one of our families to give their story about how they were successful in getting through our first-time home buying process.
That's wonderful.
As well as we're going to have maybe line dancing at the end.
Hey, okay, that's
Yeah,
nice. Ended with a nice little dance.
Yeah.
Any last words you'd like to share with our viewers when it comes to being a first-time home buyer or your organization in itself?
Well, it's just most important that you, it's just real important that you come to a housing counseling agency. Housing Opportunities is one of 10 here in the state of Delaware. And it's in order for you to be an educated consumer and to start building your self-wealth and becoming hopefully that millionaire someday, it's most important that you contact us, and we can be contacted by calling 302-429-0794, or you can find us on Facebook under Housing Opportunities, or you can also email us at spikes@hond.org.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Gladys, for your time, and thank you for educating us on the importance of fair housing here in Delaware.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. You've been watching In Focus, and I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras.